welcome back to the Sony Show. We just had an interesting Gregory Wire, Democrat for judge of Philadelphia court, and a father, a husband, and and a foster parent who's running to change to affect some lives of people similarly situated. As you know, there's a crisis of foster children and parents out there. The Department of Human Services, which handles such matters, are always on full tilt trying to handle the demand. So good for Mr. Wire. But we have another guest here, right here on the Sony Show, Philly Hot Radio. And his name is, sir, could you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Kasai Guthrie.
Say that one more time.
Kasai Guthrie.
How old are you?
I'm 21, just turned 21 December 19th.
Well, happy birthday to you. Happy belated birthday. Well, he has an interesting story because this young man at 21 has some very, very high ambitions. And what might that be?
I'm the mayoral candidate for Newark, Delaware.
I asked you off the air, and I'll ask you now that we're on the air for the benefit of our listeners. What was it that motivated you at the age of 21 to say, hey, I am going to seek the office of mayor?
So there was an incident that happened. So currently I attend the #1 party school in America, University
Which is?
of Delaware. And, parties happen really frequently to be the #1 party school. But me and my roommates threw a normal party, and what happened was we got arrested and thrown in jail. But that was, the first, discrimination incident that happened to me. But I always knew that it was happening to other people of color in Newark, Delaware. So I just started diving deeper into, the issues and the problems of Newark. Started going to city council. And going to city council actually convinced me that I could really, run for mayor and really win just from, how the current city council is. It's not. I didn't see it as a hard, thing to do. So I just went for it.
What was it when you went to the council? Because what were some of the things specifically that stood out that that reinforced your curiosity about running for the office and made you say you could do it?
It reminded me of high school student government. They were all, just acting really immature, arguing right there on the floor. It just reminded me of like a high school government, and I just graduated high school.
So you said I could do this.
Exactly.
I have experience with high school.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, what would your now you mentioned the discrimination that you experienced, and were y'all out there in Newark, Delaware, wilding out or what? Tell me what happened. No, I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. You do not have to answer that. You have the right to remain silent. You don't have to. But you mentioned the discrimination, and which is prevalent around the United States, especially for young black men. But what other issues would you say? What other on your platform would you like to bring attention to once elected?
So I have two lanes. Growing up, I always my mom always told me opportunities lies in the midst of difficulties. So when I was 15, the biggest problem that happened to me was I was expelled from one of the best private schools in Delaware, which is Centerville Layton School, and that was because I was going through puberty. Just realizing why my father wasn't around, and just asking all these questions. And that drove me to depression, anxiety, and ultimately missing majority of my schooling of freshman year. So I ended up leaving that private school, going to one of the worst public schools in Delaware, which is Glasgow High School. And I had a decision, go down this lane or fix myself up and try to reconcile with my father. So I chose that option, which was reconciling with my father. I reconciled with my father. We started building a relationship. And then I started to think, how can I turn that difficulty of that situation into a positive situation? So I started realizing that at this public school, there were kids just like me that were being raised in a single parent household, and that were being labeled as, children that were acting up, misbehaving, but they didn't know the root of that. And the root of it was, they weren't getting attention from, a dad in their household. So that's why some of the students that misbehave always continue to misbehave, because they're getting attention from, male guidance counselors. But so I asked myself, how can I turn this difficulty into a positive situation? And that's how my organization, We Need Our Fathers, came about. So We Need Our Fathers is an organization that helps reconcile between absent fathers and their children. But, the main focus of it is to help kids and youth and, grown men get over the hurt and the pain that came from growing up without a father. So I won numerous awards. I'm the youngest Black Enterprise Modern Man. I'm a Jefferson Awards Globe Changer. But that's my personal goal, is to help bring fatherhood back. And my political goal for Newark, Delaware, it's just to make it a place where everybody can live peacefully and also reach opportunities and to reach economic success. I feel as though with just 30,000 people in Newark, I can implement plans and strategies to really make things happen in Newark. So I just want to make Newark, Delaware a place where people can go to school, people can work, and everybody has an equal access to economic opportunity.
At 21, wow, you have a very impressive resume.
Thank you. Thank you.
You actually definitely been through a few things, but the question is going to come. So I might as well ask it now, if you haven't been asked it 1,000 times already. At 21, people are going to ask you, what makes you think that you have the experience to run a city? What is your response to that?
Oh, my response is, growing up, I always was able to connect between different demographics. So my mom was on food stamps, government assistance, and a single parent household, and with my 3 siblings, and I was going to private school and still communicating very well to that demographic. But I also was playing in a city league, football league, and I could communicate to that demographic. And then when I turned 16 and created a mobile app, Nexter, I was able to go into Capital One office and organize and strategize my own corporate sponsorship from a national global bank, so I can communicate to that demographic. So growing up, I can always knew that I was different, just because I can go to any room and get a deal done just from my communication skills. So I'm just going to use those communication skills to figure out what are the issues with the senior citizens, then what are the issues with the workforce citizens, and then what are the issues with the students, and then what are the issues with another demographic, and try to find solutions for each problem.
As a young man, and also as a young Black man, now you would have to deal as mayor. You would have to deal with a lot of different aspects. You will have to deal with ageism, those who will, as the Bible says, despise thy youth. You will have to deal with the old guard. How do you tend to overcome those obstacles and bridge the gap and negotiate with those from those diverse, often contrary groups?
Yeah, so I don't really tend to think about negativity or criticism, because the more negativity and criticism you think about, the more it comes. So I always keep my mindset on positivity, and not thinking about the naysayers. As long as you have one supporter, I believe that that's all you need to reach success. And I got a wave of supporters supporting me in Newark, Delaware. So I'm not really going to care about the naysayers or the criticizers. I'm going to let my work, do the talking.
Now, but I'm speaking of not just those who may be naysayers, but policymakers and other officials who represent the aforementioned groups who may not be so amenable to change, and then therefore might resist. How could you deal with people in office that you would work with once in office? How would you deal with those barriers?
It's just communicating. I think everybody will, go into, I call it, prejudice. So people, are going to prejudge me. But, once they finally sit down one-on-one and I look them in their eyes and we communicate, I feel as though, I want to be able to persuade them otherwise of their prejudgment. So, I'm just going to, let my work speak for itself, basically. Create policies that work for, everyone. Make sure that the homeowners are being saved, are saving money from, taxes, and creating just, opportunities for everyone.
You're out there on the campaign trail right now as like knocking on doors, speaking to people, shaking hands, listening to people at community forums right at this moment. Am I right? I mean, not right now,
so
but
the deadline to file is February 4th. So we're starting on Monday for, knocking on doors and campaigning. But I've been taking a lot of meetings with, a lot of people, high-ranking people in Newark, and just getting, the foundation ready for when we're going to launch. Because once we launch, we're not pressing the brakes. So just building the foundation right now, making sure our team knows what exactly each responsibility is. And I think I'm just waiting to see if anybody else is going to announce for the race. And then we're going to release our plans, our policies, and we're going to get going.
So far during the meetings with your team, what are they saying to you?
They're just telling me, just to stay focused. At this age, there's a lot of distractions. So, I just got to remain humble, but also just remain focused and make sure that I don't fall into the traps that, will be set. It's just keep being, level-headed and making sure that I'm just staying out of trouble and staying away from, all the distractions.
And for, Newark is... how can I say this? That's a relatively large place with a lot going on.
Yeah. And
you'll be really meeting the needs of addressing the concerns of a diverse population. And so what are some of the needs you see out there from the various aspects? You don't have to mention them all, but some of the ones that really stand out in your mind, and then tell me what you think you can do to affect positive changes in those areas.
So, the biggest problems happening right now in Newark are the housing problems, also the traffic issues, and then the developers and the students and the senior citizens. Right now it's a gap, like you said, bridging the gap. It's a gap between, the residents who live in Newark, but then also the students and the university. And the dialogue there is no dialogue happening between city council and the university. So, there's two heads crashing right now. But I think with, the right meeting set up and the right dialogue, all the problems that everybody is talking about will be solved. The issues with the students are they feel as though there aren't any outlets happening for, for nightlife, which is causing them to throw parties in the neighborhood areas because they have no outlets. So
is that it's them making that noise outside my house at night?
Exactly. Exactly.
You're not even in Delaware.
Is
it that loud?
Yeah.
I can't wait for you to be mayor.
So it's just creating this dialogue that fixes all the problems. I feel like if we all come together and work together as one, the problems will be we would create solutions for the problems. And with 30,000 people, I feel as though we could all come together and make Newark a great place for everyone to live.
And you mentioned housing and traffic. What's the housing situation then?
So the housing situation is the university is tearing down 2 dormitories, which is going to make next fall have a housing problem of students needing, I think it's 1,400 beds. So right now they're trying to, build as fast as possible. But I think it's just, sustainable developing, making sure that the developers are, building wisely and not just trying to, build up and, put all these students into cramped up housing. That's the housing issue, and the traffic issue is going to be, a big burden on people just because now the infrastructure is failing on Main Street, which is, our main road to get into the university. And there's going to be construction happening from this spring to about 2020, and that's going to basically, shut down a lot of small businesses on the main street.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm definitely going to work with DelDOT to see if we could, figure out ways to better construct and
Mm-hmm.
so that no businesses are affected and, everybody's happy.
Mm-hmm. Now, it sounds like a lot of those concerns involve the university.
Yeah.
Now, for the wider community, not related to university, what issues are you seeing in the wider community of Newark?
So the wider community doesn't like the university. That's the biggest problem. They don't like how the university is a private institution and it's building up and up and up. And not
We had that problem here in Philly. We have
with Temple.
with Temple, and
Exactly.
exactly, taking up
So,
North Philly.
it's just one of my main goals is holding the University of Delaware accountable. So when I talk about making plans and strategies to build revenue, and also help out the students by giving them internships, I'm talking about holding the University of Delaware accountable so it's giving back, money to the communities of Newark, building a community center so that people have, things to do after school, bringing in companies to the Star campus. So we're giving Newark High School students internships and jobs for the summer. It's just holding them accountable because it is a large private institution, and in a few years they're going to own more than 75% of the Newark City limits. So
Wow.
yeah, exactly. So it's just holding them accountable, and I feel as though with the plans and strategies that they already do with the community, I feel as though they would definitely be willing to do way more than what they're doing.
So in Newark, is gentrification a problem with the because in Philly we have the gentrification. Part of it caused by the universities. We have 3-4 major universities here, but also you have people coming in, an influx of people from the area of New York, New Jersey, other places. They move into the city of Philadelphia. And raising the property
price,
rates,
yeah.
and the residents who have been here 40, 50 years can no longer afford the taxes, so they're forced to move. Is that an issue in Newark?
I would say Newark is experiencing a quiet gentrification because, a lot of people don't know this, but Newark, Delaware has a higher percentage rate of people living in poverty per capita than, Wilmington, Delaware. A lot of people don't know that. So we have public housing tucked all throughout the city that nobody really sees. But then you also have these enormous apartment buildings getting built up, and how they do it in Newark is when they say rent is $900 and it's a 4-bedroom, each tenant is paying $900.
Whoa.
So they're not really doing $900 for the whole unit. If it's 4 bedrooms, those 4 people are paying $900 each for rent. So it definitely is gentrification happening just because it is we do have a lot of people living in poverty, and there's no developments being built to service those communities.
As it is in Wilmington.
Exactly, as it is in Wilmington.
Wilmington is doing a massive gentrification.
Massive. And that's what my mom is trying to battle now. In Wilmington, she's doing a lot of great stuff for small businesses and entrepreneurs in Wilmington to fight the gentrification.
Like what type of stuff? Because that's interesting to me.
So she just started the Wind Factory, and it's basically a co-working space in Wilmington that's going to house small businesses and entrepreneurs. And what they're doing is they're basically going to start buying back the block, putting their money together to buy properties.
Right.
And start fighting and combating this gentrification that is going on.
Mom is thinking.
That's
Yes.
where I get my smarts from. That's where I get my smarts from.
Right.
Thank you, Mom. Appreciate it.
You are so welcome. And so, with all of this going on,
Yeah.
the influx of problems and concerns, and so what happens when you get in office. People come to you. No matter what happens, the buck stops at your door, and you're always the one to blame. Are you prepared for that?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Just because it's accountability. I'm never gonna hide from mistakes that I make or problems that arise. But one thing that I can say is, if a problem arises, I'm going to work day and night until, you know, a solution is made. But, you know, with a great team around me, I really feel like, you know, I'm going to do a great job in office. I really feel as though not only want to do a great job, but I'm going to motivate the kids who were just like me 3 years ago, senior year in high school, that did not know what exactly they were going to do, or, you know, what their career path was going to be, but, you know, still going day by day and grinding. So I'm here, you know, to motivate the youth that are coming from single parent households, growing up on food stamps, government assistance, and then ultimately going through all that and then overcoming it. So I'm here to motivate and then also, you know, make Newark a greater place to live.
Now, I know you haven't officially begun your campaign yet, as you said, but so far, are there any major groups or minor groups? Really, there's no major or minor, but anyone come out in support of you yet?
Yeah, so there's a lot of, you know, groups and also business owners and developers and a lot of people in Newark, you know, reaching out to me, wanting to see, you know, see me do good, just because they love the story. You know, they love the story, and a lot of people, if you ask around, you know, my reputation is really good in Newark and also Delaware, just from all the service that, you know, I've done. So a lot of people have been reaching out, and, you know, we've been meeting, but, you know, I'm really excited to start going to the people, you know, the citizens. You know, it's good to meet with, you know, top officials, but to meet with those citizens, those low-income citizens, to really figure out what they want, you know, what they want out of my campaign, what they want out of the next 3 years for this term, and then start, you know, creating solutions.
I had the pleasure, not to cut it, last night to attend my very first
City council.
City. Now,
Crazy,
mind you,
right?
now I moved in Delaware, Obama's first election.
Okay.
Literally the first election.
Okay.
Election day, I moved in. I was in the county, so I gradually started volunteering, wiggling my way down to the city, and still keep my county residency. But anyway, I went to the council session, and, you know, I'm meeting Councilman Vash Turner, who spoke so highly of you.
Really? Okay.
Oh, yes. He spoke so highly of you. So I had to make sure I give a recognition of that one, because in
Shout out to
passing,
Vash.
yes, shout out to to Councilman Vash Turner, because he was like a real good guy, you know, basketball, everything. So yeah, he really spoke highly of you, which is like really super that, you know, not only am I having you on, but I'm actually having someone who fights, like he makes it known that he fights for the community, because when you said, hey, when things go wrong, they come to you.
They come to you.
And one of the things he spoke of, which I liked about, I respect him, because he said, when I went in to do this job, I got hit. Everyone was coming at me with roadblocks, but I had to make it known, if you're not getting this done, it's not because of me, it's because of the roadblocks that, hey, are put in place, called these people. I want you to know that. So it's not so much they're going to come after you and say, oh, you not. I get that part, you know, but, you know, to know that you're going to try to move some stuff and make it known, hey, I'm trying to do my job. These are my interferences out, but, you know, I got you. I hear you. You know, I'm going to acknowledge this stuff. So I just wanted to throw that out there, because I did tell Vash I was going to.
Yeah, shout out to Vash.
So, yeah.
That's a good point. You know, it's holding people accountable. You know, one thing that I want to do is hold City Council and also the Newark Police Department accountable, because I go to these City Council meetings and they're always talking about how to stop parties. But serious crimes are increasing every year, and I'm not hearing any policies or, you know, task force groups or anything happening to stop these increasing crimes that are happening in Newark. So, you know, one thing that I want to do is make sure that I hold them accountable, because Newark is a quiet place. They like to go under the radar. They like to sweep.
Which is why they don't want all those parties.
Exactly. they like to sweep.
We're going to need y'all to
rug.
turn it down.
They like to sweep things under the rug, but, you know, it's just holding people accountable, and that's definitely what I'm doing with my campaign, is bringing people, you know, awareness to things, and making sure that we're changing a lot of things, because things need to change. I feel like the stuff that happens in Newark, shouldn't be happening, and it doesn't have a lot of awareness to it because everything is swept under the rug. So, but it's just changing the way things are happening.
But
Wow.
I'm gonna let you know, because I can't vote for him. Your mom's here, but I'm gonna be knocking in your door. I'm gonna make sure I hold you accountable.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we talk about this a lot, you know, and I always tell people come election time, don't vote for people just because. Just because they give them these little outdoor events, or just because you give them a couple of dollars, just because does nothing when grandma at the end of the day, you know, trying to figure out what she's gonna do with her money, and she got all these bills and her medications, you know, they're like $300 a pop, and the rent and the mortgage, the food and gas and transportation, just because it's not gonna do anything. At the end of the day, I'm gonna be knocking on the door, holding you accountable, even though I'm not a Newark resident.
For sure.
I'm like, remember when he said he was gonna?
And all I can say is this whole night I've been wondering, this question been burning in my mind.
Don't let it burn.
And that question is, can she see under that hat?
Yeah,
Can she see?
I see this young black man right here who's running for mayor of Newark, Delaware, who said that, hey, y'all gonna hold me accountable. He's gonna do his job, and he's gonna make sure
A
things
very
get done.
impressive history.
Yes.
And
And he gets his intelligence. I'm not gonna blame it all on mom, but dad too.
yeah.
But mom is
yeah,
here,
but
looking beautiful.
Mom been
Like,
holding it
yes,
down.
Mom been
Yay,
holding it
Mom.
down,
Yay.
yes. Shout out, love to mom. Yep.
And so we really appreciate you
Thank you.
taking the time to come in. I'm inspired by your story more, and you're a testament to young men everywhere. So now they got somebody they can look up
They
to.
can look up
you know,
to,
instead of old people
yes.
like, oh, that's right, nobody looking up to me.
Yeah, no,
okay,
good, you too old. Yeah,
but
they
anyway.
look up to us young folks.
But if people wanted to follow you, if people wanted to keep up with your campaign, people wanted to contact you, is there a way they could do that?
Yeah, so you know my email is Kasai, Kasai at kasaifornewark.com, and then my website is kasaifornewark.com. My socials are CODEBOYSAI, Codeboy Sai. Code stands for capable of destroying everything. So you know, me and my friends growing up, we formed a pack which is called Code. And you know what we did was, you know, we held each other accountable. So we didn't. So if we seen one of our friends slack, and you know, we picked them back up, and you know, we helped out. So you know, that's what Code is. But you know, my social is that, and then you know, just you can follow my campaign on my socials and then my website, kasaifornewark.com.
Give me that one more time, Kasai. Spell it for me, just because I want everybody to make sure they get it.
Yeah. So the website is KASAIFORNEWARK.com.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
I
you.
appreciate you guys for having me.
Thank you. You gotta come back.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
you
Oh
gotta
yeah,
come
after
back.
election, he coming
Definitely.
back, and you know